was here speaking to University of Victoria students last year, and I got up and I asked him, like, marijuana is BC's biggest industry. Like, are you for policy of taxation and legalization? And he laughed at me. He told me that was silly and that, you know, we should be getting a college education and not smoking pot, which was very counterintuitive to most of the people sitting in that room. And he said things like, I want you to be out there digging ditches and wells instead of smoking joints. But
you will be interested.
No, seriously, a bunch of New Brunswick high school kids, he told them that their goal in life should be out there digging ditches and wells and not smoking pot, which seemed crazy. But they are currently...
But don't you grow pot in those ditches, you think?
Well, you think smoking a joint after digging a ditch would make it a lot more enjoyable, right?
Isn't that what they get people in prison to do, though? Maybe he was, you know, like giving a hint.
He wants to be premier, and I think, or prime minister,
Oh, no.
and I think he's willing to do anything to do it. And if it means supporting legalization, I think he will. So we just have to convince him that the majority of Canadians want legalization.
Okay, so I think that's a good kind of place to start with the plan, because we know where everybody kind of is, and we know that, you know, it's a problem, but a plan would be good. We need to convince them, that they would get support, that they would get more of the vote for supporting legalization. Does anyone have any idea how to do that?
Get the Americans to do it first. Really, Canada won't really, I don't think we'll pull the trigger unless the Americans have things to criminalize first.
But we didn't support them in the Iraq war. We're kind of branching away a little bit now with this world government system. Potentially, you know, like if people in Europe or South America started decriminalizing, we could follow their lead. I think we're just not ready to be, we're not for Canada, we're not ready to have a backbone.
Well, Stephen Harper is essentially an extension of that government, and I think that that's our biggest problem right now. That they're creating, the 30% of the population is creating policy to try to represent 100% of the population, and it's just not working.
Okay, so what do we do for the Conservatives? The Green Party and the NDP need more education. I think that we can, you know, by talking to members of our parliament, by dropping off Cannabis Digests, you know, for your local NDP and Green Party candidates or representatives. I think that we can give them good talking points, which they can then take to debates or to House kind of committee meetings and be able to bring them up and give some of that rational, just like rational talking points. So educated and talking points. But Andrew, do you have any suggestions of what should we do about these guys? Because these are a big problem here, right? Yeah.
I think our only hope is the economy collapsing, and then the people who would vote for them will just be running around with their heads chopped off, and they won't vote. You know.
I think most of the people who vote for the Conservatives, though, like who
The
votes for
business
Conservatives?
people.
Let's brainstorm there.
Christian fundamentalists.
So Christians.
And business people. People
The
that
upper
care more about
class.
money than humanity.
The upper class.
Do you think well-educated people vote for them?
Will that be counterintuitive?
But like, I honestly don't think they do. Like, they keep firing all their scientific
Academics
representatives.
don't vote conservative.
Okay, so the Christians we've kind of taken care of. The Council of Churches stood up and said Bill S-10 is crazy. I don't think the Christians are behind harsh drug policy because it seems, you know, to punish people.
Church of the Universe,
Yeah.
they're church, they've been POPA,
Yeah.
just recently, right? So they're kind of countering that Christian belief, like, because a lot of them are Christians.
Well, and you heard that news article, right, Dan? The Council of Churches just came around and like put out this big press release that said, you know, you guys are crazy supporting this, and then they ran it in the Globe and Mail.
Yeah.
The
They
TD
also said
Bank.
it wasn't biblical, which is a big hit for
That it was what?
non-biblical. The going for
Punishment?
harsher punishments is not the biblical way to deal with the problem. Which is
So we could find clothes and
In reality, I think that most Christian people, they get a bad rap because of radicals like Stephen Harper. It's like saying that all Muslims are terrorists, right?
Yeah.
sorry, okay, yeah, anyway, but yeah, I think that most of them want to help people. They have all of their, like, walking around handing out sandwiches and stuff like that, and I think they actually do want to help people. We need to convince them that legalization is helping people. And it's safer, and legalization of ultra, I don't know if they're ready for that, but, the dirty element out of it will in the end be safer for everybody. I think that's what they need to be convinced of. The soccer moms aren't kind of getting that yet.
What about business people? Like, we all know that this is bad economics unless you own private prisons. We're not going to convince people that own the private prisons, but what about other business people?
Kristen, the TD Bank announced they're gonna start opening up on Sundays.
They did.
That's a major step in the bank saying goodbye to the churches. Money
They're not
talks.
letting churches be?
Money talks.
Yeah.
Well, but we have a huge industry, like what? We're the biggest
Exactly.
industry in BC. Why doesn't that money talk? Because we're not unionized?
Because it's only.
Because it's illegal.
Yeah, because I can't stand up in there and say, like, here's $20,000 that I made growing pot.
Yeah, but that money won't be there if it is legal, and I think that's what the big concern is. It would take away so much money from
Yes, it
policing,
will be.
from incarceration. I mean, it'll take away from biker gangs that I'm sure the police are involved with.
Why will it take money away from policing? Like, why can't we just reinvest that in actual real policing so that I feel safe walking?
Because
around?
crime's going down.
Crime's already going down.
Crime's already going down
I know.
before legalization.
I know, and that's why I think they have to put the money
Why
somewhere.
more policing?
So where do you propose? Yeah,
Education.
business. How do we make money? How do we make the people that only care about money and not about
Realistically,
you?
there's more money in the marijuana industry the longer it stays illegal.
Yeah.
The minute it becomes legal, the price will tank.
Yeah.
But that's where the
Because there's
actual
a big
draw
gap
lies,
between the
right?
actual cost of production and the cost of consuming.
It's danger tank.
Yeah.
But there's
that's
all
right.
sorts of business around it, right? Like, you can have a cannabis bed and breakfast, you could have cannabis hotels, you could have
You could have
vapor
entire
lounges.
Walmart-sized stores dedicated to products
Like
laced
bombs.
with cannabis,
Yeah.
for example. It's a huge industry,
Like
but
Amsterdam runs
the
its
government has
tourism.
no idea what to expect from it. That's the problem. They don't know what's going to happen. I mean,
So they have no business
from an
model.
economist government point of view, I'm sure they don't have no idea what to expect. They say we legalize this, and anything in the world can happen.
Well, let's talk about not so much the actual government, because there's not much you can do to change the government.
Well,
You
we
can
need
change
to
the
educate
people
them.
that support that government.
Another point is like the government, right? They've already set up this whole thing, especially in British Columbia, with government jobs. Like they're the biggest jobs here. When you look at it, our mental institutions, our addiction centers, all this stuff is so funded, right? Compared to the Walmart, compared to the bed and breakfast, compared to all that, right? So there's a lot of people there that have been working this for a long time. Even our addiction, if you go and take a course in addiction, it's all got to do with the stats from the United States.
Yeah.
We don't have our own. We need to stop, we need to start at the groundwork of the paper trail and the paperwork to get some of this stuff like, take away, like in harm reduction, I think that's one of the problems is that addiction is so heavily funded, especially in British Columbia, that there's that capital that just keeps coming to this province from the federal government. Like the RCMP, they got to work on quota in British Columbia. We actually have a contract. We could have our own police.
I think, sorry, Dan, I just don't understand. What do you want me to write down for?
Counseling and addiction, we have to teach them that it's not an addictive drug. That it ain't a gateway drug and stuff like that. Because in our addiction counseling, I've been for it. And like, that gets brought up right away. Like, it's one of the first things they stop on. And that's because when people study that course, we're going by the journals from the United States.
Which are obviously very biased. I think that goes back with
Right.
like having good Canadian science. What about the upper class? The rich people that don't care. They're like, my kids won't do drugs.
Then you
Drug
be
users are
convinced
bad.
that people who do drugs makes the country money for them, pretty much. That has to be good for it makes money, pretty much legalization or decriminalization as to the legal economy. That's what they have to be convinced.
Maybe it doesn't make money for the right people. Maybe that's the problem. That, I mean, the big financial.
Is that not actually the problem because behind why it became illegal, right?
Yeah,
We've been
exactly.
fighting that
And
for years.
that particular group of people,
But I
the
think-
blue bloods can't.
But the
can't
wealth
get
has
it.
spread out so much since then, right? Like the internet and stock trading and things
Yeah,
like that.
but their wealth is like, it's not even comparable.
This is true.
It's huge wealth. People don't even understand how much wealth they have. It's hard to fathom.
Going back to the addiction programs, right? That's funded in schools. We're not funded to grow pot.
Exactly, right? Like, maybe we can use the whole like policing, addiction, healthcare, all those kind of like high cost social programs could be reinvested back into business. Would that be a good like talking point for people that are always like, you know, there's no money in it or it's a illegal drug?
I think everybody knows that there's money in it. I don't think that's a question at all. How to legitimize this is, I think, our real challenge.
They're scared who's going to get the money. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't have people growing tea making $200,000 a year from their tea crop.
Why?
Or are the right people getting the money from marijuana today because it's illegal?
The government doesn't want
Oh, yeah.
people growing grass making $200,000 a year.
But you probably
it's-
won't make
it's so unstable.
$200,000 a year if it's legalized.
Yeah, what's it-
But in California, it's
Like, I think you could
pretty
pull
much
off.
legal, $65 for weed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that kind of debunks the whole thing. It'll tank in price. I mean, I hope it would, but I really don't think it will.
That's because America still has a really anti-marijuana culture.
It's a lot cheaper in
BC
California than it is in Miami.
And it's a very immature industry even down there, right? Like, you know, they haven't really got big prolific grow-ops that have got the economy of scale that would occur under a really full legal, you know, and you know, truly open market, right? So,
The industry as a whole hasn't recognized how cheap it is to produce marijuana either. It doesn't do a lot of, instigate a lot of methods that make it quite a bit cheaper. I mean, if you grew tomato plants like you grow marijuana plants, all tomato farmers would grow. And once it becomes legal, it's going to go on the angle. I mean, there's so many things people buy that are extremely overpriced. And there's, you know, and once then the production cost goes down, it's going to have to bring the entire
But it didn't have to.
and that's what this profit margin.
So some kind of equilibrium will happen.
Will happen, but it'll be much of a less profitable or ideal industry. And,
But I think
a
people
lot
are
of
still
players
willing to pay for that
will never vote
convenience.
on anybody that would bring legalization around because they lose all their money.
Yeah, but so many more people are gonna start using it. You know, nobody's gonna have to worry about losing money, not making as much.
I think in the long term, less people will start using it like 30 years from now. It'll be actually less because it won't be a big deal anymore. It's not many kids try it just because they're not allowed. That's what I think.
See, a lot of people don't like privatization, especially in government, healthcare and stuff like that, but honestly, government controls most of the jobs in British Columbia. That's, you know, how do you tell somebody from BCGU, oh, we're gonna cut your job, just like when they did with the hospital, the cleaners and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, and it's a circle. And they got so much control, the privatization has to happen.
I'm moving us on to the next point, guys. Liberal Party of Canada is very confused about their stance on marijuana. And I think we need them to come out on our side if we're gonna have a hope and hell fighting the Conservatives. And I think right now, going into an election, that this is a big time for them. They haven't pulled a majority government in a decade or something like that. Is that true? I think it's almost a decade. And they can't figure out why. And it's because they're pansies. You know, they won't come up with solid points for people to stand behind, so nobody stands behind them. You know, the only people that vote for them are the people that hate the Conservatives enough and want to make sure anybody else gets in.
Okay, so we have to make sure we tell the Liberals what we want.
Yeah, so
There's
tell them,
something
talk them.
positive to do,
Go
right?
talk to your representatives if you want your government to work.
does anybody know who is actually the Liberal rep for Victoria in the next election?
No.
I guess it's
Sanders,
you guys aren't even from here.
I met her, she came to my house, I'm trying to remember her name, it's on the top of my head here. There's a new one in Sanders.
That's Sam.
No, because,
Victoria.
Keith Martin dropped out, so.
Yeah.
I don't know who's, or when they have the time to replace him, but,
Yeah, same with the girl that was in oil, she dropped it too.
So we have no Liberal candidates right now in Victoria?
I don't know who it is. The last Liberal candidate that I know of was,
Rainey Penn, did she run?
no, that would have been, Gary Lund's rider. No, he was the Crown prosecutor.
Okay.
But, yeah, it was a lawyer that took over after David Anderson, I think. So it wasn't a very plot-friendly replacement. But David Anderson wasn't plot-friendly.
Just keep kicked off.
How can
I wonder if
we,
GCs
anyone got any
is-
ideas how to make the Liberals like pot more? They did back in the day, right?
We gave them free joints.
Mellow them out maybe, but I don't think it would make them more effective.
Well, I think the problem is if they do come out in favor of at least decriminalization, conservatives are gonna attack them on the whole tough
But
on
didn't
crime
they
thing.
just?
Pardon?
Like Iggy just said something about, we support decriminalization now, we were before the S10 thing, and nothing bad happened.
Yeah, well, they have it for a long time, the liberals, decriminalized.
Well, they
I
wavered
thought
back
Iggy said
and
that there was no chance in hell they'd ever consider that, but the S10 thing, they just sort of changed their position.
Yeah, Chrétien wanted to try to do it.
Yeah, Chrétien got pretty close, but they just came out with something that said they were considering decriminalization.
I think that they said that they thought that decriminalization was a better method than criminalization, like S10. I think that was the context, was it not?
Before the S10 thing.
No, when they were making a comment on S10, that they said that decriminalization was.
No, there was an article I read that says that those like.
So we pull it up somewhere?
When the Liberals opposed S10, in the one article that we cited on our page, there were a few groups that had lobbied the Liberals towards this position that they noted. The one that was at the end that I thought was really significant to lobby all the various groups was the coalition of churches. That was, I think, the article was about the coalition of churches. Oh no, sorry. But the article wasn't about that. It noted them as the first one, and the Canadian Bar Association and the Canadian Civil Liberties Association were also in that list. I think kind of thanking those lobby groups and maybe getting those lobby groups to continue pressuring the Liberals is a good strategy. And the other one that sort of surprised me, and I wanted to go make sure I was going to say it correctly, that I think we could even look into more is the Assembly of First Nations. I didn't realize that they had made a position on Bill S10. Did anybody here
I didn't
They
know.
know
did,
about
yeah.
that? Like, and I've been trying to watch the fight against S10 as much as anyone, I think. So it really surprised me to hear that the Assembly of First Nations had an opinion that got to the Liberals, but nobody else had heard of it. And so I think we're a very biased community. People see right through us, and approaching politicians or political groups directly, it often doesn't work if our primary association is like selling pot or something else, right? Whereas some of these other lobby groups that could or do have influence over them, I think in a way it's more indirect and it might be harder to twist arms. But I do think that the Liberals listen to these kinds of groups that have been cited.
Perhaps we could get like student unions to get involved.
Yeah.
That would
yeah.
work.
Exactly, right? We're the Canadian Federation of Students, right? Like, they could have been on that list too, right? That's a powerful lobby.
And just
And a lot of students, one of the things that the Conservatives cited, their stupid example was, high school kids or not a stupid example, but the reality, be put in jail for sharing a Tylenol with another high school kid. Well, so a university student for sharing a Prozac with another university student.
Or Ritalin, which everybody does. There's.
Yeah, so maybe we should
other
list,
lobby
here,
groups.
well, yeah, okay, I didn't see you do that. Okay, yeah, other lobby groups.
City councils, like the Vancouver one just sign the Vienna Declaration.
One of the groups that came out against S10 was the Association of Medical Professionals.
Yeah.
Yeah, but put like Canadian Federation of Municipalities. I don't think that's what it's called. It's the Canadian Federation of Students.
City councils.
Yeah.
The HIV/AIDS Network or Association or something came out against it as well.
They did as well, yeah.
But I don't know if any cancer agencies got on board,
No.
and they would be big ones.
What about the MS groups?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if medical groups specifically with S10 would be as
Well, for
interested in
legalization in
lobbying.
general,
Just people we can contact.
yeah.
Okay.
MS, cancer,
Okay,
the
yes.
other big ones.
Legion, try to get them. That'd be huge.
They've tried.
Did their national headquarters kind of shut down that though? Because I know they were involved with the Rick Simpson thing on
Yeah.
Nova Scotia.
Yeah, they weren't into it at all.
Headquarters thing kind of, yeah.
But even individual legions, if it's say like a Vancouver Legion, I mean, it's a pretty big group. It would make a bit of
Yeah.
impact, I think. If we can convince the individual ones to take a step, but maybe they have some kind of private thing that they have their own.
Well, the Legion, and I think that you're talking about Nova Scotia, the Rick Simpson thing, lost their membership in the Canadian
Yeah.
Legion because they supported medical marijuana. But now, since then, Veteran Affairs has started funding vaporizers, funding medical marijuana, funding
Yeah,
all sorts of things.
yeah, they should be suing the government for that.
What, Gail?
Well,
They
we
should
have,
be.
I'm sorry, go
Never
ahead.
mind.
Well, she said they should be suing the government for that. I was thinking though is that we do have a lot of veterans that are members of our club though that could, support their legions. They listen to their own constituents, right?
Is there any group for the people coming back from Afghanistan, stuff like that?
Oh,
I
yeah.
think that's still the veterans.
Ted, we were gonna try to do all 4 of these sessions in 2 hours and just do it.
I think we might skip the growing and the MMAR
These
section.
guys came for growing.
Oh, you,
Is that
okay.
what you came for?
Well,
It's
but-
good, if you need to skip it, you know, it's.
Well,
No,
I
no,
guess,
whatever you came for.
I must admit, I'm a little frustrated at the numbers in the sense of we're hard to try to put this week together, and there's been a number of events where I haven't had as big a turnout. Before we had some students show up, it occurred to me that while you guys were interested in growing, the rest of us were activists, and the ones that were into growing knew how. I wasn't sure if there would be much to discuss about growing right now, unless these guys were interested. Which one of the, were you guys into the growing or the MMAR sections, or?
Not as much.
Okay, I thought maybe.
Either's good.
Pardon?
Either's good with me.
Okay.
So.
I thought maybe then if we split it up and did half the talk on politics and then did the other half on sort of internet activism, then that seemed to me what the group would be most interested in. I've never tried to do a workshop before. This is my first attempt to try to do this. It hasn't been maybe as successful as I'd like I say. But I wanted to make the most use of the group and the group's resources. I was hoping to chat with you guys a little bit about some of the kind of industry stuff, but I really did hope to have a lot of members of our club. I have 3,500 sick people that buy medicines from me, and they're constantly asking me how to help, how to get involved, and this was one of the few chances that they've had of late, and it's been frustrating to say the least. But yeah, I think if we did have to talk, maybe for another half hour here on politics, and then kind of smoke break, and then come back in, and then we could talk about internet activism and stuff. Then that would make the best use of our day.
Do we want to keep going with lobby groups?
Well, it's your workshop. You got half an hour. Did you have other ideas for the workshop? We're just making it up, really.
Yeah, I thought I was just going to listen to a bunch of people talk and try to cut them off. Which is other minority groups or unions or associations, anyone?
What
Well,
unions
there's a
are there?
lot of unions that act, well, not to stereotype these something else, but there's a lot of like the labor unions and stuff that have relatively high members that their older members are actually medical marijuana patients and stuff. There are a lot of blue collar people in medical marijuana patients just from the lifestyle, working with a lot more injuries and stuff that come on.
Workers' compensation.
If there's
So like
Construction
steelworkers
union,
union,
that's
there's
usually-
construction
Well,
union.
Yeah.
the CAW, I was gonna say, did you guys ever see that industrial hemp handout from the 90s that they put out? But the CAW put out a really slick hemp newsletter, or not newsletter, but like almost a little magazine thing.
What's
I'm
that?
sure a couple of you remembered it. CAW, Canadian Auto Workers Union.
Work safe,
Oh,
they
there
have,
we go.
for the unions, they have drug testing, construction,
Really?
It's not effective before legalization themselves.
But you have, well, you can't just expect everyone to be on your side with the lobby.
Yeah,
Right.
We're gonna
That's what
lobby
we did,
these
you see the last
lobby
couple of
groups
years,
because
they got construction got put in just the last 2 years.
So then it's not easy to work for me. Yeah.
Way to control
Other
skilled labor.
workers unions.
National Farmers Union, but they're very tiny, about 300 members. There is Free Farmers in North America. They might be on the hemp thing.
British Columbia Grow Association, they're for marijuana.
What about teachers associations?
PTA.
Yeah, sometimes students.
Those are really raising rules. Steve, you're a PTA?
Every parent that you see is, you know,
We more professional athletes and stuff and celebrities coming out.
So that's more like spokespeople, right?
Not even spokespeople, just people admitting that they use it.
Well, that makes you a spokesperson.
I
You
guess
are a
so.
pothead, you are a pothead, right? Makes you a spokesperson for pothead. So, actors, athletes, musicians. It'd be nice if we could get a national newspaper. You know, like the Globe would be nice. But you know, like they did do that beautiful full page, front page spread on the prison problem. And then a week later, liberals changed their opinion. So media.
Athletes won't come out. That's a possible number.
After their career.
It has to be decreased once.
Yeah, the league
Is it
has
actually
rules, right?
scheduled to grow?
Sorry, scheduled too, but because it's in every single testing, and if you're caught, you get banned in university levels. They won't risk it. It has
But
to be decreased once.
there are a lot of ex-athletes with
Retired
concussion
athletes, yeah.
problems and all sorts of stuff.
Absolutely, you have to know retirees first.
But look at some of like Lionel Alzado between the steroids and potting his whole drug thing, it made it into a horror story.
Yeah.
Yeah. When actually you could have got brain cancer.
We need like Michael Jordan rubbing cannabis soft into his knee on a commercial, that's what we need.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar got caught a couple times.
He did, yeah.
I think the problem that our, I guess, industry or culture has a whole is that as spokespeople, we tend to end up with people that are really stereotypical stoners,
Yeah.
speaking out for pro-legalization. All the people that aren't smoking weed or involved in things that would maybe could be swayed either way, they see this guy as the real stereotypical stoner speaking on half marijuana instead of seeing some other average Joe Blow guy who goes to his office every week and does his job, you know. That's my biggest pet peeve, Mark Emery, when he does a speech and has a smoke in the middle of the speech. We need to have spokespeople that are just an average voter instead of, you know.
We need
But you know, but like some stuff like that happens with the average person speaking out, like, goodness, like bringing up Mark, right? We talked about the media here. I don't know if everybody saw it the last 2 weeks, but there's a paper in New Jersey called The Phoenix. And a big distributor, this girl on Campus Culture Forum, Catherine, she got them to do an article, right, with Mark Emery. If you read the article, Mark's actually in jail for growing marijuana in the article. Right, so all this hard work of trying to get him home and trying to get people to believe, here comes an article that's totally wrong. But now what can we do combat that, like, actually, they're saying something that isn't true about Mark. Right, you know, now some stuff is slander, some isn't, right? He's not guilty for growing pot.
Let's not get, random people to go to the media.
Right,
Let's,
spokespeople, that's what.
let's everyone go home and tell your mom you smoke pot. Be like, Mom, you should probably try it too.
Actually, that's what I tell a lot of young activists online.
Yeah.
First thing, if you can convince your mom, you can convince others.
Yes, exactly, right? But it's really this whole, we need to come out of the closet. Yeah, I smoke pot, and I do a lot with my life. So if you want to, hold this stereotype in your brain that everyone who smokes pot sits in their couch and plays video games for 16 hours a day and scratches themselves, that's fine. But that's not the reality for most of us. 90, 95% of us. That's not what we do with our lives. Maybe more. And, we need to really break away from that whole, you're Tommy Chong if you smoke pot stereotype, Because even on the cannabis culture forums, I get this all the time. There was this one guy, he's like, do you think you'd let your kids smoke pot? I don't want my kids to grow up to be dropouts. And it's, even within our culture, there's still that real stereotype.
Well, I was raised in Victoria for 2 years.
Could we focus more on politics, guys? It really seems to be going off on more just how we need to present ourselves instead of how we're going to persuade political forces to make these changes.
Well, that's what we talked about at the beginning, though.
Well, you guys were just talking about the need for change. I want to talk about how to make the change.
Was how we're going to convince the government.
But you weren't talking about how, you were talking about why. I want to talk about how we're going to do it. You guys were talking about.
I thought that's what we did though already.
No.
At the beginning.
No, that's the.
Give another 20 minutes of it.
Yeah.
Well, like I say, I don't really want to talk about why we want to make changes. I want to talk about how to make changes.
You missed the first beginning part, which went through all the political parties there.
Okay, I realized that.
Yeah, okay. Sorry.
But it just seemed that it was getting going in a direction that wasn't useful to.
I think we
Go
need
back to the politics.
universities behind us and stuff. I like how you're incorporating into your education, how you're doing your projects about that. If we can get professors and stuff coming out, which they do, but kind of more a whole school kind of coming out and saying, no, you know what, these people are good people. I mean, you've got the ideal. They're doing a lot for our campus. They're really helping out, blah, blah, blah. And, help to change the.
Well, do we need to go top down or bottom up? Because I think what you're suggesting here, convince the people to be better people, convince the people that perceive them to have this better image, and then they can all come out and say, yeah, they're not bad, and eventually that will convince the government, right? But enough people thinking that we're still,
We have to hit it from every angle. That's just it, right?
What about going right to the people that make the decisions? How can we get them to listen to us? Because we tried calling them, right?
Well, I was going to say on spokespersons, unless we finish that, you guys were just hinting on professors, and I think that would be key. In fact, I don't know what she did with S10. I believe with C15, Susan Boyd here had a letter a week that she was firing off to Stephen Harper, citing different reasons that C15 and mandatory minimums were counterproductive. We didn't network with her as much as we should have at the time. We really should have helped profile her efforts, and that would have been something where she did get some press. That's where I read about it. But we would have had her say, cross-pollinate towards the lobby groups, right? And if we could find individuals, speakers, professors, former athletes that will then go to some organizations, right? They're like, oh, well, how can we help? It's like, well, there's these specific lobby groups that you should go and speak to I think professors have a great influence, because they do on the other side, who is it, Doug Pleckus, is that?
Daryl
Pleckus, they got this criminology prof over in the Lower Mainland who reads
Who's also the commissioner of the RCMP.
Who nobody in the Crown actually respects. I have a friend with the Crown prosecutor, and he's, the guy's an idiot, he's getting paid by the RCMP, everybody knows it. Oh, I fucking hate that guy. And they all hate him.
Mm-hmm. But, we have to find people with our opinion in the opposite, that they all do like it. They'd like to support it.
I was going to say spokesman police. You just said them.
I think they're pro
Lead.
police against prohibition or something.
Law enforcement.
Yeah, law enforcement. Like those guys, go talk to those guys and professors, because truthfully, those government people, they love both of those people, professors and law enforcers. They love those people. So
I think he might be more involved if he's encouraged. Maybe even just want to, here, let's start a little list of people that we could even like start to target within that group. And I think Dr. Keith Martin is the perfect one to start with. And I don't think we need to restrict it to Victoria. You know, we have all sorts of friends in the Lower Mainland and stuff too. So if you guys have ideas from
Like
over
Libby.
like Libby's full force, you know, you could put Libby on the list, but
Well, it's just, you know, if you have something
yeah.
that you want her to say, if you phone her and tell her what that is, then she'll say it.
Oh yeah, no, she, you know, and with some people like Keith Martin, even just encouraging them that they've spoken out properly is, or
Awesome.
yeah.
Who's the mayor of Vancouver?
Reagan Robertson.
What's his position?
He owns Happy Planet.
So does that mean he likes Canada?
I assume so.
He's probably.
I think once in the Fox, he said something borderline that he was for legalization of taxation. But
So with some encouragement,
Mr.
right?
Kurt, yeah, I think he was shying away from taking a very strong stance. But he was kind of, beating around it a bit. He's actually apparently a pretty decent bet.
Well, and they had that, the whole 4 pillar strategy working so closely with City Hall in Vancouver. With Don McPherson, who's probably. Don McPherson might be a really good one. I haven't heard anything from him recently. And from people that everyone knows who Don is? No? Yes? No. He was, I believe, came from the bureaucracy of City Hall, and then heard some good harm reduction stuff and traveled all around the world, seeing different models of it, different places, and brought one back to Vancouver and pushed really hard for it to get enacted and for everyone to stand behind it. So now when you listen to Vancouver politics, everyone's for insight because they did really good lobbying within their local city government.
Might be Ralph Goodale down in Regina, but I don't really know his position. He tends to sort of, he's the odd man out in Saskatchewan politics. He's like the only liberal sitting below the belt, so he might be worth targeting.
And who's he?
He's a liberal, Regina.
Name?
Ralph Goodale. If I remember correctly, he's pretty liberal in a way you don't usually find.
Saskatchewan would be an interesting place to target because they have so few people.
Yes.
And they all come from farming backgrounds. They all remember their grandparents growing hemp. There's pictures.
Now my grandma did it.
Everybody's grandma did it. They live in
Very
Saskatchewan.
much so. Trouble is though, pretty much all the guys left of the right of the NDP are hardline social conservatives, especially in Saskatoon where we got I forget her name, Kelly Block, we got Velicott. They're both hardline Catholics, like hardcore social
Well, then
conservatives.
this seems like a good place to start in Saskatchewan, right?
Yeah, Regina also has most of the activism centered down there that I know
Yeah.
of. I haven't been in touch with any of them though, so.
Actually, put Al Tissick on that list. He's retiring from our place. He's a local minister, street minister, and he's been quite tied into the provincial government of late, but he plans on retiring and starting up his own agency, which I could imagine would be much more outspoken because he tends to be. He would be an incredible asset to have speaking out against these kinds of laws. Good point, I'm surprised he hasn't. And Reverend Harold Munn would be another individual, I think, on the list. He's become one of the more Free Church, which is pretty much right beside the welfare office downtown. And he's been involved in social politics here for a decade now. I think, you know, some focus towards, you know, individual religious leaders who have, you know, established credibility would be a good approach.
What's that church that Del Ross goes to on West Sandwich Road? Them two right by the barn. They have a thing on marijuana too. Right, yeah, on West Sandwich Road. Matt Elrod's dad's really big.
Okay.
He's one of the FPL.
Yeah, I think now could be a really good time to make some inroads into that community. I think far too often we end up talking amongst ourselves and aren't, you know, going out. You know, didn't work at the gay bar this week, but I really think going and you know, meeting people in their own elements and you know, and explaining why we need their help is a really smart thing to do. I had considered doing some of that myself, even here with S10, just kind of going through the phone book and going to one church after the other. We used to have Hempology meetings at the United Church in James Bay, like years and years ago. The minister retired, but we used to have every Thursday night a meeting there on mystic history. We talked about using various kinds of drugs and shamanistic traditions around the world and all these different things like that. It was quite good space, and we, although we had a friend who's passed away since then, that helped with that. Since that's been lost, yeah, we've lost a connection with churches, but they're a very strong voice. I really think that was the tipping point for the Liberals thinking that they could come out with their position. If the churches were going to, you know, or the priests and ministers stand up Sunday morning and condemn the federal government. Oh, who's the other one with the mustard seed? Oh, what's his name? Tom Bush. Just put down, I think it's Thomas Shearer, but I'm not quite sure about it. We'll take one at 3 here. So, I guess before we try and wrap up this workshop, though, I'd like everybody to have one last little thought about the 3 categories: lobby groups, individuals, or sort of general spokespeople to target.
Besides Trailer Park Boys, who's famous for pot in Canada?
Chong. Yeah, is that what you mean?
No, besides Tommy Chong and Trailer Park Boys, they make, you know, they use comedy, right? But who's like musician, actor, anybody in Canada, sports marijuana?
Oh, Rush.
Well, they're
Getting lead.
Yeah, this sounds like a trick question. Mark Emery.
No, but we can think of
Down to 10 points with him.
If you have a
Snoop
blind
Dogg,
sort
we
of
can
deal.
think of, you know, all these different, you know, different people, Willie Nelson, right, all this. In Canada, we have the Trailer Park Boys.
Oh, so you don't have an answer, you're trying to just...
Right, yeah, who can we have better than the Who can we have better than, you know?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if I say United States, who's famous there, we can start banging off names.
Canadian news anchors.
Right, you know, but Canada, who, Trailer Park Boys.
Oh, who's the historian?
Pierre
Pierre.
Berger. He's
Oh,
dead.
Pierre Berger.
Oh, we can just drop it.
And put spokesperson deceased.
Like Tupac.
Not reference, spokesperson.
Yeah.
Hello, Ray Carson.
from Canada?
She is. Is she? Etheridge? No. That's Katie Lang.
No. It's Katie Lang.
Who's probably also pro-pot.
There is a lot to be said for celebrities. I think in a sense, under the spokesperson one, we're looking for almost types of
I'm
celebrities.
just trying to find one in Canada I can email on a regular basis, the Trailer Park Boys.
Yeah. Well,
I'm trying to calm down my
well,
head.
we should add Cheech and Chong though to that list of
Yeah.
people to contact because they do have a very strong voice.
Yeah.
Oh, you there? Okay. I can't
Yeah.
hear you.
They're next to each
Yeah.
other.
But yeah, no, that does make sense because people might not take everything they say seriously, but it doesn't mean that they can't garner attention and bring it up at their shows and stuff, right? Like they can have a serious moment because I think the concern is even like right now, S10 appears to be dead. Well, whether it's a minority or majority, the conservatives are going to try something again, and they might just try to loosen some of the minimums and stuff. But they're hell bent on.
Well, didn't the Liberals say that if it had been 20 plants instead of 6, they would have still voted for it?
This is why, so if they water it down just a little bit, they may end up getting something similar through. So we need to be prepared for round 4. Is kind of what I see coming with us listing up these different groups and stuff. But yeah, if Cheech and Chong and all the ministers brought it up every week, that would be good.
Would they need a majority to go after Health Canada, or could they do that with the minority? So if they say defund
They can just cut the
programs-
budget with the minority. They can't really write new laws or.
A budget is a conference vote, so if they cut the budget to Health Canada as a whole too much, I don't know if they can cut it to specific divisions.
No, you're right.
So they'd have to go after the bureaucracy, they'd have to fire the head of Health Canada, put someone in that they would like.
They couldn't cut it much more than it is. The research is gone and it's just a small bureaucratic crew.
It would be great to have someone from within the MMA division come out and say that they're overwhelmed because too many people needed this medicine, it should just be legal.
They all want to work for the federal government until they get a job for the corporation. So that's pretty unlikely.
What about lobby groups? Anyone want last lobby groups?
Yours.
Where
You
did
can find a musician.
where is that?
Artist or actor or actress.
There's actually the musicians union.
Yeah, like, there's a name in Canada that really speaks of it. We need to get one. We need a Snoop Dogg in Canada. We need a Willie in Canada.
How about trying to talk at the Rotary Club or something like that?
Yeah, Neil
More
Young,
often?
there's another one.
Yeah, Neil
Yeah,
Young,
you
he
know,
pops.
but they don't speak, you know what I mean? They're not.
Yeah, no, Neil would be a good one. Rotary clubs and the lobby groups. I've actually got to speak at the Victoria Club on medical marijuana downtown, which is pretty cool. But
What about those like elks, moose, beavers,
That's what
kinsmen,
the-
koalas?
yeah, there's a lot of weird clubs. I don't
Yeah.
know about.
Hell.
Union
Well,
Club.
just give us the
Well,
basis,
there's
we don't know
a
anyone
Union
else.
Club. On, by the Empress.
Yeah, it was the Union Club. I think that was the Rotary Club when I was at the.
Yeah, that's Union Club, yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty. Although it was upon invitation, it wasn't because I sought to speak there, right?
But the kinsmen would be a good one, they do so much good for the community.
Yep.
Any communities.
And the Kiwanis is their business.
Well, I got a politician. That's fallen. Brad Wall, Premier Saskatchewan. During that MS treatment
Mayor
thing
of
with the-
Saskatchewan?
Yeah, that MS trial with the balloons in the neck and the veins and stuff, came out and said they were going to do their own, fund their own study if the federal government didn't damn the feds, basically, whether or not. So I mean,
What's his name?
Brad Wall.
WAHL?
Yeah. For that to work, you might have to mobilize a bunch of MMAR patients with MS, but if that did happen, I can see that might work. Be the best angle to approach it from. Because if they're willing to fund studies for the MS treatment, maybe they could attack marijuana studies too. My brain's shutting down, sorry.
It's okay.
Well, discussing politics and how to influence them is often an exercise in futility. They don't seem to listen much beyond people very close to them. And so I think we've done a good job identifying in general some lobby groups or people that would have influence upon them and or the media and some individuals as well.
I took a lobbying workshop with Libby Davies one time, and she said often easier than influencing directly the politicians is influencing the people, the bureaucrats that surround them. So by talking to the secretary or the head of a division or someone who has, the ability to talk to this decision maker in person, but isn't necessarily the decision maker, is often easier because they don't feel threatened by you giving them information. They're just getting information.
So we're gonna take those lists and
Did you guys, anything about like a major newspaper get written up there at all? Like I heard they will get mentioned, but I don't know if it's up there.
It's just under media.
Media?
Good newspapers.
The reason
So
I ask
Jean
is I'm just
Farmer,
wondering
she's
what kind of.
pro-cannabis, but she doesn't speak out about it.
well, I guess,
She's
the list is almost going into two. I don't know if the list was intended so much for current politicians. I think I started with Dr. Keith Martin, and then the idea is retiring. We could almost come up with two lists. One, the politicians we're trying to get at that are the most open to these ideas, and then a list of individuals who may influence those politicians because they're quite different strategies. So maybe when we put this up online, we'll even make a distinction between those two groups. And when we come back here in like 10 minutes or so, we'll take the work that we've done here on politics and integrate that into an activist workshop and try to talk amongst ourselves. And I don't know how good luck we're getting online, but just about how we could use the internet in various ways with different web pages and stuff that are existing, or how we could make new things or add to what we or others are doing that would help channel our energy towards these various political parties and individuals.
Just one more thing. I wrote to a lot of ministries, and the biggest ministry that writes me about every few months now is the Ministry of Family and Women and Family Services. That's who responds the most back to any other ministry. I've written to them all in Ottawa. I've got 4 letters now from them. Women's rights. Because most men, because if family gets charged for growing pots, the men usually go to jail.
But it does affect a lot of families, and I think
Oh, it
that's
does.
a group
Females.
even if we look around this room, us females are greatly outnumbered. And so maybe that's a group that we have to integrate with.
Feminists.
Not
Yeah, the
necessarily
soccer
feminists,
mom, the
but-
female right, the woman's right. If you lose your husband, what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
Exactly. Been through it. Then they stop the men from stealing kids from the industry again.
Okay, well, let's take a 10-minute break here, folks, and 1:45, we'll start back up to the last 45
Quarter after?
minutes. A quarter after.
Sir, are you vet student here at all? I think
I am.
JD, do you have your number?
Yeah.
Because I think JD keeps,
Logging into
he
this?
could be logging into his computer, like into.
Oh,
I
he's
think
trying to